the end of the day, we're the guys in the middle between the trade actually doing the work, submitting it to us, we vet it out, we give it to the owner or architect for approval. They do their thing, we get it back, we turn around, we go back to the sub for resubmission. We're kind of like just in the middle, just going both ways with documents, hoping that they're gonna land eventually at an approval and we can just build and take as much away from the architect and design team as possible. Submittals, every job has thousands of submittals. Depending on your design team, that workflow could be efficient or less efficient. RFIs, same thing. You know, you ask an architect for a color, they might not want to pick the color, the owner has to pick the color, the owner might not want to pick the color, they want the interior designer to pick the color. And it's project by project. That can get messy depending on how well structured a design team is or an ownership group is. But that's probably the hands down most chaotic element of just that workflow of information in, information back, adjustments, resubmissions, things like that. We would get drawings. I would spend 2 days scanning drawings to make PDFs, to make my own little folder for the drawings. Bulletins would come out. I would have to manually go through, slip sheet the new drawings in. Now on Procore, you upload it, it scans it through, you do your little QA QC check on it, and that process goes from like days of work to like a couple hours. I would say just overall document control, you know, drawing management, getting the first set of drawings, indexing them. My first company, I used to have to scan drawings page by page individually. It was horrible. It would take days to just receive a set of drawings to then be able to turn around to get out to the contractors. Right now we have the tools with Procore, we can just upload drawings in. It does the OCR scan of the title block, the drawing number. You can get a revision uploaded in like an hour or two. What I like to do is develop that initial scope of work, and then I vet each line that might be specific to a project that this doesn't apply to, and basically just shoot the prompt to trunk. You know, if there's something in there for traffic coding at all, back of house areas, you know, a general line for the waterproofing scope of work, I can ask, is there traffic coding on the project? It says no, there's sealed concrete, so I know I can delete that out. Now I have a better scope of work. And it's not just for reduction in scope, you could use it to then get more detail and clarity on the scope. If we know that there's traffic coding, but the way that the scope of work reads is just, you know, traffic coding at all areas, I can make that better by prompting trunk, hey, what's the preferred product for the traffic coding? Is it a 3-part or a 5-part? Is there an aggregate for texture to be included? Is there a color for it? I can get all that information, put that in the scope of work, and now the scope of work is bulletproof. It's the collection of all those small tidbits of time that you get. So if on a normal work week you have 2 hours of looking at submittals, that 2-hour chunk of your time for the week might be reduced to 30 minutes because you're utilizing trunk tools to kick back submittals that are garbage, allow you to pass through the good submittals. You add that on top of, you know, you get an RFI from a sub just before you submit the RFI to the engineer. If you don't, you know, make sure we don't look bad. Ask that RFI to trunk tools. If it answers, then that's not even an RFI. You just answer it back to the sub and you put it away. So it's the collection of the whole of those small time savings that extrapolate that over a 3-year project. You're probably saving days or weeks when you add it all up. And that's just one person, so you apply that to the rest of your team. If you have a 20-person team, you're saving like man months of time. And that's time now you're spending like in the field dealing with problems that aren't in the digital space. They're more of like built conditions. So it's the collection of everything. Being able to utilize trunk to reference the Suffolk SOPs is huge, and I think more for the younger generation, the guys just starting their careers, the ability to have someone that might not know entirely, you know, the body of the scope that they're working on, or the procedures generally as like a company, the ability to use trunk to reference those documents that are pretty heavy, like there's a lot of them, and certainly nobody knows all of them. So rather than just pull down the SOP, control F it, and scroll through to try to find a word you're looking for as a reference, the ability to have effectively like infinite access to those SOPs relatively seamlessly is huge. A superintendent being on site sees something that doesn't look right, rather than taking their notepad out or their iPad and jotting it down like, hey, when I get back to my desk, I'm gonna look into this, this, and this. Take your phone out, trunk text, column B5, what's the out-to-out size of column B5? Is it 24 by 48 or is it 24 by 36? You're looking right at it. You don't have to write it down. You can verify it immediately. You look at it, get a tape out. Okay, that's good. That's no longer a homework assignment to take back to the trailer. Not having that access, knowing that it's out there and not utilizing it would be like going back to paper plans, knowing that Procore exists to look at plans, online. It would be just a gut punch.